Okay. Good evening and welcome commissioners, applicants, and interested parties to the February 26, 2026 meeting of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. My name is Chris McIntyre. I am the chair of the Cohasset Conservation Commission, and I will be running tonight's meeting as we implement the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Chapter 260 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing wetlands protection, and Chapter 263 of the Cohasset Bylaws governing stormwater management. The Conservation Commission meeting is now open and in session and is being held via Zoom. Public questions and comments are encouraged to be submitted in writing using the Zoom Q&A feature, and you should include your name and address. The chair may invite verbal comments where clarification would be helpful. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Present this evening on behalf of the Conservation Commission is the town's conservation agent, Charlotte Pechtel. I will now take a roll call vote of commissioners. Please respond by repeating your name and saying present. Tom Bell is absent. Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, present.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Sanju Fernando, absent. Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, present.
And Chris McIntyre, present. Tonight we have a quorum of 4 commissioners. First up, we have meeting minutes for approval, including January 22nd, 2026. Any comments or questions on January 22nd meeting minutes?
No.
You guys are all here for both of these.
Yep. Anyone care to make a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 22nd, 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
We'll take then a roll call vote. Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes, and the minutes from January 22nd, 2026 are approved. And how about any questions or comments for the February 5th, 2026 meeting minutes?
No.
All right. And then I'll make a motion to approve February 5th, 2026 minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. With the motion in a second, I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell.
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton.
Will Ashton, aye.
And Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0-0. The February 5th, 2026 minutes are approved. Hearings continued. We have show cause hearing for 0 North Main Street for buffer zone alterations, which is continued to March 5th, 2026, and NOI 25-21 for 33 and 37 Stanton Road, 294 and 300 South Main Street, and 33 Cedar Lane for ecological restoration projects to remove invasive Phragmites, continued to March 19th, 2026. All right. First public hearing we have tonight is the emergency certification for 150 Howard Gleason Road to install a temporary water line to building within 100-foot bordering buffer to the vegetated wetlands, salt marsh, and land subject to coastal zone flowage.
Yeah, sorry guys, this is a last minute addition. So yesterday, or actually really late on Tuesday, so still within the 24-hour period, I was notified about a water line rupture at 150 Howard Gleason that was cutting off water to the house and to the sprinklers and fire systems. So issued emergency certification upon receipt of the notice. And then also they had prepared plans from VHB to install a temporary water line to, connect and bypass up to the house. They only need to make 2 excavations in obviously Howard Gleason Road and then up to where the house is. And so the work itself will pretty much occur on Howard Gleason Road and then up the existing driveway. So it won't actually be in the marsh. The water line, I will say though, is through the marsh. So they will be working on a permanent solution, and that may require wetlands permitting. They're anticipating an RDA or an NOI, depending on what they need to do to the permanent solution, but this is the temporary solution to just keep that temporary bypass there. It's going to be installed for the most part at grade, except for those 2 connection points underground. The only thing that I'll just clarify with this is after I issued the enforcement order, fire department had some comments. So those are going back and forth right now. So I spoke to the fire chief and Chief Dockery and I touched base, and obviously anything that the fire department needs as part of this temporary solution, I will definitely support. And obviously I told Chief Dockery that the actual temporary line will not be in the wetlands. So really not much of a concern on my end. But with that being said, the commission should just ratify emergency certifications, even though we acted in the 24-hour period. The guidance is to just ratify them at your next available meeting, which happened to be a day later. So you can revise agendas to have these types of emergency meetings as long as notice to the public is quickly given. So hence the updated agenda.
Thank you.
And they have 30 days. So unless DEP weighs in within the 7-day period, which is their time frame, they have 30 days to abate the emergency. So they will have until March 27th to complete this temporary work. If for any reason there's still an emergency after 30 days, I would have to receive that in writing, preferably from the fire chief or the building inspector. And I can always issue a second one, but yeah, that's their time frame to complete it.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this one? Then I will make a motion to ratify the emergency certification issued by the conservation agent on February 25th, 2026 for 150 Howard Gleason Road to complete the proposed emergency work as shown on the plans provided by VHB with any relevant revisions as required by the fire and building departments. Do I have a second?
Kathy Berrigan, second. Sorry.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve Bagnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0-0. And next up we have RDA 26-02 for 37 Church Street. This is new, so I'll read this in accordance with the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw. The Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing via Zoom webinar ID 822-034472720, passcode 407568 on Thursday, February 26th 2026 at 6:30 p.m. for request for determination of applicability 26-02 to build a 3-season porch in the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 37 Church Street for Scott Herzog. The public is invited to offer input by attending the meeting or emailing cpechtel@cohassetmass.gov.
So I don't see the applicant, but if he jumps on, I will promote him. So this is a RDA for, as Chris mentioned, 3-season porch. I can pull up the plans. Let's see, where is it? Boop. Sorry, I thought I had this on here. There we go. Get down to this. So these are structurals that were submitted to the building department. I just wanted to get to the plan that would help you guys. This is an aerial, so the 3-season porch will be installed in the same footprint as an existing open deck. We're going to need 3 sonotubes, so this will be raised, no foundation installed. I don't know where his well, basically we put this together to try and help him submit an RDA. And from a wetlands perspective, there are wetlands on the abutting property slightly north. We don't exactly know where the wetland end is, but I spoke to the homeowner and he was comfortable with submitting an RDA and not asking the commission to verify any wetland lines, just assuming that he's in the 100-foot buffer zone. I do not believe he's in the 50 based on where the existing wetlands are on the opposite side of the site. So this is a wetland delineation. for this half of the site. His project is going to be around over here. So again, we don't know where the official line is. This is from an old septic plan. But based on the vegetation and contours here, we definitely know there's a wetland. We just don't know where it ends. So that's why I just had him submit an RDA for the proposed screen porch over the existing open deck footprint. So there will be an increase in roof runoff. But since the screen porch is going on 3 sonotubes, he clarified this design with the building commissioner. At least from a buffer zone perspective, that other than the roof increase, there doesn't, at least from my opinion, appear to be any additional impact from what's already there because the existing deck is already on piers and it's pervious. So again, the only change would be the increase in impervious. Obviously, some temporary work in the buffer zone during construction as well. Do you guys have questions on that? This is the RDA he had put together. Let's see, what was the size again? 12 by 16, but the existing deck is the same size.
So we're assuming it's in the 100, but we're not sure, and you're quite sure it's not in the 50. Or
I'm very confident it's not in the 50, but I am also very confident that it is some portion of the work is definitely in the 100-foot buffer, based on what we were looking at in the files and on site. And it's just hard to obviously figure out where the wetland is right now because it's covered in snow. But yeah, in speaking with the applicant, he doesn't want to investigate the wetlands. He is aware that there's a wetland over there, and his work could be within that boundary.
okay, and again, it's already a porch there. It's just building.
Yeah.
Up,
I was gonna say this
and
picture
within
might
the-
be more helpful. So like this is the existing home. The wetland is the delineation we have pretty much comes to here. So looking at contours and vegetation and looking at the site and other delineations, there are wetlands up here. There's an intermittent stream that goes at the very front of the driveway. So a little bit easier to see on, nope, I don't think I have the other plan, but yeah, there's another wetland up towards the driveway on the same property on 29 Church Street. So sorry, it's a little hard to see, but this wetland here, intermittent stream, it goes across to 37 Church, which is the property we're looking at. And there's an intermittent stream that goes at the front of the driveway. So this wetland and intermittent stream, at least in this area, is well over 100 feet away from the back of the home. But yeah, this wetland back here where we only have a delineation halfway down the site, but looking at the contours on the site, we can assume there's definitely some sort of wetland. We just don't know where it ends. But like I said, he didn't want to ask his neighbor to flag it and investigate it. He just wanted to kind of assume he's in the buffer and submit an RDA for the proposed work.
His application said no heavy machinery or anything like that.
Yes.
It's just pretty basic, small
Yeah.
scale construction. So,
Mhm.
any questions, commissioners, comments? I don't care to make a motion. I'll make a motion then to close the public hearing and issue a -3 and -6 determination of applicability for RDA 26-02 for 37 Church Street. Our standard conditions, I guess, for working within the 100, just that no heavy machinery be used, that sort of thing. Do I have a second? I think you're muted, Kathy and Steve. You're both making seconds.
Second. I will second.
Thank you. I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, I.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0-0. So that
Yeah, and like I said, I'm
RDA is
90+% confident it's not in the 50, so I don't think you need a variance.
okay. Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. All right. So that RDA 26-02 is closed. And next up, we have RDA 26-01 for 40 Beach Street, which I will read into the as a public notice here. This is new. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw, and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing via Zoom webinar ID 822-0344-2720, passcode 407568 on Thursday, February 26, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. for request for determination of applicability 26-01 to construct an addition in the footprint of an existing rear addition and patio and build a new covered porch in riverfront area at 40 Beechwood Street for Gary Stilfen, and the public is invited to offer input by attending the meeting or emailing cpectel@cohassetmass.gov.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Great, how are you guys?
Good.
Good.
Gary, do you have the ability to share screen or would you like me to pull up your plans for you?
I think you should do that for me.
Okay. All right. Well, while I pull those up, do you want to walk us through the project? And then right now I have page 9 out of 17 just for a photo reference, and I can keep scrolling through the pages if you want to walk us through.
That's a good one right there. Right there,
Yeah.
you can see that building, the old building in the back. There's actually a washer and dryer and a heating system for the houses in there. You can see the chimney coming out of there. And I want to take it down. I want to make it the same size as to the right of it, you can see a pad and a door. I want to make the building that size. That's going to be the kitchen. I'm going to push the kitchen out into that room to give it more room in the house. And I'm going to move the heating system upstairs in the attic. And I see the front right there. That's basically to make it pretty, to tell you the absolute truth, to make a front porch on it, make it nice. We all hand dug, it's the whole reason for that front porch. But you can see how I'm building addition on top of it with the roof line. So it's basically I'll be adding 25 square feet of new roof line over that pad, which is where the door where you come in from the kitchen from the door.
And Gary, is that existing patio impervious or is that pervious?
The patio, it's cement.
Yeah. Okay. So it's impervious.
It is, yeah.
And I'm sorry, is there a porch already in the front and you're building a roof over it, or is that going to be new construction?
That'll be new construction in the front with 4 footings.
Okay. And that the whole site's in the riverfront?
Yeah, I'm not
I don't
sure.
know about the entire site, but the majority of the site is definitely in riverfront. And then this is an old plan here where you guys can see the wetland buffer, wetland line. Sorry. So we're dealing with buffer zone and riverfront. Again, not sure where the 50 is, but I'm pretty sure it's not in the 50. But it definitely the entire project is within riverfront. Riverfront. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So work would be done just heavy machinery. What are we talking about for constructability here? What's the approach?
For the back on the kitchen side, I'm just gonna tear it right off. Is an existing foundation there already, so it's gonna build on the foundation, as you can see in the picture we showed, and a new roof line which will extend over that patio, and that's the support for it. You can see that that's the roof line right there. So it's pretty simple, but it opens the house up instead of leaving an outbuilding
Sure.
up there with a heating system and everything else outside. Kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. And for the porch, the pilings and everything, are you bringing in machinery for that?
No, that's all hand dug. We dug. It's just 4 footings. You can see the 4 posts. It's just 4 footings. We always hand dig our footings, and that's simple as that. Of course, we're adding 160 square feet of roof, as you can see that, which is 20 by 8. So that'll be the adding for the roof for the impervious.
Well, just to differentiate the two, we just saw a project that was assumed to be within the 100-foot buffer, whereas this being in the 200-foot, riverfront, which we're presuming this is in, correct? The front and the back? Is that how I heard you, Charlotte?
Yes.
We consider that a resource area, not just a buffer. So there is that distinction that I would just note. Um, there's a little bit more work here. Commissioners' comments, questions, or anyone have any input here? Steve? Muted, Steve, if you're saying anything. I don't know. You're still muted, Steve.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to see where the river is. I'm looking at near map, so to see where it is with respect to the building itself, because certainly none of the areas within the buffer zones of the pretty much adjacent wetlands.
It's about right here, Steve,
Oops.
plus or minus. I mean, we have to go by annual mean high
Yeah.
water, but just in terms of where the river is.
Mhm.
So I think I could even show Mass Mapper. I know this is obviously not an official delineation, but
Right.
yeah.
If you were to approximate where the river is, what's the kind of distance to the front of the house? Just kind of ballpark it.
Oh,
To the
hold on.
street, man. To the street's probably 100 feet.
Yeah, I was
To
gonna say,
the-
actually,
to the
you're
river.
pretty close,
Yeah.
Chris, like plus or minus. I mean, the back of the home is definitely there. The porch may actually be just on or just outside riverfront, depending on where that annual mean high water line is. So the front of the home could potentially not be in the riverfront. It could be partially in. But yeah,
Mhm.
like I said, depends on annual mean high water, not the bank of the river.
Right. Well,
The orange are the estimated wetlands, but obviously this is not an official delineation. This is just going by the estimated state wetlands, but we had a old plan, an old septic plan that shows, it doesn't show riverfront, but it does show where that wetland delineation line is, which is a little bit closer than than what Mass Mapper showed. Sorry, it's hard to see, but there is a wetland line right. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Steve, does that give you any clarity, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it seems like the porch may be out of our jurisdiction anyway. But in the rear, if it's just being, is there a new foundation or anything involved
Yes.
in the rear one?
Yeah, I think the foundation's existing to remain. They would just take. That's the proposed plan, right, Gary? You're
Yes.
taking down the structure and just not altering the existing foundation, just building new.
Yeah, we'll keep this just the way it is. We'll keep it the way it is because it's the same as the house is existing. So it will
Yeah.
stay.
What happens where the doorway pad is?
That's to make the kitchen a little wider. Since
Mhm.
it's already impervious already, I think we might as well just take advantage of the space instead of making a 12 foot, make it, more like 16 feet for the kitchen, And we're adding, like I said, we're only adding 25 square feet of new roof.
Kathy, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't.
Will, your thoughts?
No, it seems the porch is the new impervious, and it seems it's either at the edge or outside of the resource. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any adverse impact on this.
Okay. Good. Anyone care to make a motion? Steve, are you satisfied, Steve? Or do you have any further questions?
Don't have any others.
No, you're not muted, Steve.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and issue a -2, -3, and -6 determination of applicability for RDA 26-01 for 40 Beechwood Street with the condition that if there are any changes to the proposed plans in terms of building methods or foundation alteration, that we'd be notified and we would probably change at that point. But as the plan is, that's fine as along with our standard conditions. Anything else? Any other conditions that we would include here, Charlotte? Did you have anything?
Yeah, sorry, Chris, you might have to remake your motion, but I would recommend just the installation of erosion controls that I can work with. If you guys are comfortable, I could work with Gary to just set up a limit of work before he starts working on the rear addition.
Okay. I will remake the motion to close the public hearing and issue a -2, -3, and -6 determination of applicability for RDA 26-01 for 40 Beach Street with the condition that the applicant work with the agent for sedimentation controls and that any alterations to the proposed plans be also brought forth to the commission. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. With a motion and a second, then I will take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell. Steve.
You freeze?
You might have. Oh, Steve, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Everything was
Okay.
frozen there for a second.
Oh, we're just going through the voting. So you're up.
Steve Engel, aye.
Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton.
Well, there's no.
Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0-0. And we don't need to make a variance, so that RDA 26-01 is closed. Thank you, Mr. Stilfen.
Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you, Gary.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Next up, we have NOI 26-01 for 54 to 60 Beach Street to construct a pier, gangway, and float and coastal resource areas for GSD Estate Nominee Trust, continued from February 5th, 2026.
I'm going to play a guessing game to see who's representing this project. Sorry. Greg, is that you?
That's me.
All right. I was going to say, I don't see James. I think he's got some coverage tonight.
Yep.
Is the applicant in the audience, or do you expect them to be here tonight?
I don't.
Oh, sorry, Greg, you cut out. Oh, you're coming back. There you go. Sorry. You're rejoined as a panelist, Greg.
Excellent. Thank you. No, I don't expect the applicant on the call tonight. So
Okay. But if they do show up and raise their hand, I'll promote them, or if I see them, I'll promote them.
great. Thank you. So for the record, my name is Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer with Morse Engineering, representing the applicant GSD Estate Nominee Trust. This was just read into the record. This is a notice of intent application at 5468 Beach Street. I'm going to do a share screen and put a copy of the site plan up for your review. Okay, you should see a copy of the plan up now. This is a notice of intent for a proposed dock at the property. The subject property itself is approximately 2.9 acres in size. It's currently developed with a single family home built in 1825, right here where my cursor is. Off on the right-hand side of the screen is Beach Street. Off on the left-hand side of the page, the property has frontage on Little Harbor. The resources are all around the Little Harbor area. We have a salt marsh bordering on Little Harbor. We have land under the salt pond. We have land containing shellfish. We have a coastal bank delineation, and we have a FEMA flood zone, which is an AE zone at elevation 11. Zooming into the proposed work, you'll see here that the proposed work consists of construction of a 4-foot wide by 29-foot long timber pier. At the end of that pier, there's a 6-foot by 8-foot timber pier. And then there is a gangway. It's a 3-foot wide by 30-foot long gangway out to a float. The float is a 10-foot by 20-foot or 200 square foot in total float. This system was designed in accordance with DEP's residential dock design guidance. It would be elevated, the pier and the float, supported on 6x6 wooden posts. There's a total of 12 posts that would be provided to elevate the system. The bottom of the stringers associated with the pier are greater than 5 feet above the mean high water mark, which is requirement of the Chapter 91 Waterways program. The Conservation Commission is essentially the first stop on the path to a dock. After we go to you, we would also go to the DEP Chapter 91 Waterways program and the Army Corps of Engineers for a permit. We have also filed locally with the Cohasset Zoning Board for construction of a structure inside of the floodplain. We had our initial meeting with the zoning board. They are essentially all set to approve it, but we left the hearing open in case there were any comments of the commission. DEP issued a file number on this project. I would add that it was brought to our attention, and the applicant was aware of it, that there were 4 trees. I've marked them in red on the plan here. 1, 2, 3, 4, which were previously cut at the property. Those 4 trees are inside of the 100-foot buffer zone. They were cut by the former owner of the property. The applicant would be willing to replace those those 4 trees as mitigation as part of this project. Other than that, I don't think there are any outstanding questions or comments that I'm aware of. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Did DMF have any comments on this? See if they did.
They haven't yet. The one that they typically will chime in on is the height of the system above the salt marsh. The bottom of the stringers, it's 6 feet above the salt marsh, which provides a 1.5 to 1 ratio, which is the ratio that DMF recommends on residential docks.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments, questions?
I just have one. You said it's going to be built on 6x6 wood piers.
Correct. 6x6 posts that get
Posts,
driven
yeah.
down, pilings essentially.
Pressure treated or what type, do you know?
Yes, they'd be pressure treated.
My only comment then is I prefer to see cedar over pressure treated just because of the chance of leaching whatever is in the pressure treated into the water, but I just want to open that to the other commissioners and their thoughts on it. Not a hard line against it, but I prefer cedar.
Mr. Morse, what's the time what's the viability of cedar versus pressure treated? The reason I ask is because if they would require replacement more often, disturbance in the resource, I would weigh
to be
that in.
honest, I haven't proposed cedar posts on a residential dock before, so I'd have to look into that. Typically, we've done a marine grade pressure treated post on all the other docks that we've done. So I'd have to look into the cedar. I don't know if that's available for this application. I don't know what the longevity of it is either. I could get that and return back.
And the methodology for driving the posts.
Sure. So they're essentially driven by hand. It's a tripod setup. So you bring out a tripod that has a weight at the top of it. That weight gets dropped onto the post, and they drive them that way by a tripod. It's not a machine. It's not a pile driver. It's a manual driving.
And the access to the location for the pilings, how would that occur?
Sure. So across the yard here, you'd carry the materials down to. Right now, there's a retaining wall essentially along the embankment right here. There's a concrete pad up at the top here. You would access over that wall. This is essentially cleared of vegetation. It's cobbly beach area. But it would all be brought in by hand coming in off the driveway.
Okay.
Mm.
So limit of marsh, you wouldn't be actually into you wouldn't, would you, or would you be into the marsh at all there? Trying to distinguish where the
Sure.
pilings are versus the marshland.
Yep. So the marsh line is this blue line right here.
Yep.
And so there are 3 pilings right here at the end of the pier that would physically be in the marsh grass. And then there were 4 pilings out here at the float.
Those are
below
the float.
Yeah, those are out in the mud flat versus in the salt marsh itself.
And those are to keep the float off the bottom.
That's correct.
Or-
So yeah, when the tide goes down, there are float
Yeah.
stops on those
Mhm.
to keep
Got
it
it.
so that you have the it's not sitting on the bottom.
And the contractor, they use like plywood to when they are on would they be doing that from the water, or would they be waiting for the tide to be down and accessing
They'd be waiting for the
the
tide to go down and accessing it from the mud flat itself. There's not bringing any barge or any equipment in that way. It's all accessed overland.
Okay. Thank you. Steve, any questions or comments?
No, I don't have any comments on this. It's a pretty straightforward dock on Middle Harbor.
Thank you. Kathy, any questions or comments?
Just wanted to say that it was thoughtful of you guys and nice that you offered to replace those 4 trees that were previously cut down by somebody else that were inside the 100-foot. We would appreciate that if you feel like you want to do that. And thank you.
Thanks. Will, any further questions or comments?
No, I'm good, thanks.
I do have actually one question about the trees. Was this plan submitted was this initially submitted? I know that it was continued, but was this ever was this like a transferred plan?
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Chair. We opened the hearing and we read the public notice and then continued. So this is our first discussion, if that helps.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so sorry, we have not had a prior conversation about this project. We just had to read the public notice and continue at the last hearing,
Got it.
or last meeting.
And Cheryl, what's our kind of I know we've had these situations before and there's been some recommended kind of access protocols with plywood or something either.
Yes.
Is that strictly for grass or is that also for the mud flat?
So specifically with the construction methodology we've seen with the contractor who installs I would say all of the docks in Cohasset, maybe except for 1 or 2. What he does is temporarily installs the plywood wooden boards in the marsh so that when they're traversing the marsh to install the piles, they're not walking in the vegetation and disrupting the the vegetation there. It helps displace the weight, but the boards are taken out at the end of each day so that they're not left in there throughout the whole project. So that's the idea, to put them down in the marsh. They don't work in the mud flat. They don't use a barge. They work in low tide conditions. So they install the piles first, and then once the piles are driven in, they take the plywood out and they set staging in between the pilings so that they can work pretty much once the pilings are in, they can work from the upland and then out. So that's normally how they do it. And I just actually drafted some conditions from previous dock projects that are very recent. So I can include those as part of the conditions if the commission were to issue an order.
There, there is feedback from DMF, isn't there, from January 22nd? with
Let
the
me see. They
recommendation?
had a few comments, Greg. I'm not sure if you can beat me to it, but I can pull them up.
I don't have a copy of those with me.
Okay, no worries. Give me one moment.
We
One
recommend
of them
the-
was they were definitely, I'm sure, Greg, you've seen this before, the 1.5 to 1 height width ratio. That's kind of become a standard now. So DMF, I believe, acknowledged that as one of their comments.
We do comply with that, with this
Yeah.
design.
So DMF, you know what? I'm just going to pull it up so you guys
Yeah.
don't have to hear me read it. But this is the email from DMF that they had submitted back to me and to James from Morse about, so again, they're good with the 30-foot clearance above the mud flat, which is the 1.5 to 1 height width ratio over the marsh. And then they want, kind of like what I just described with the construction methodology, they want the work to be conducted from the uplands wherever possible. Construction mats utilized to transit the marsh as necessary. No construction materials or equipment stored in the marsh. So yeah, pretty standard. They do have this though. We've gone back and forth on whether or not to implement a seasonal condition as part of the order. So I will defer to the commission on that. This is a recommendation from Division of Marine Fisheries, but sometimes depending on the project, we haven't always included that. I think it's a case-by-case basis based on where the dock is going in. But that's definitely up for discussion if you guys would like to see that. And then obviously restore the wetland to pre-existing conditions. So if there's any damage.
What would be the time frame? I mean, you still need other permits, correct? So you wouldn't be probably doing this prior to the end of March.
No, yeah, to obtain the Chapter 91 license is probably an additional 9 months from today. So
Okay.
it's a project for next year.
I don't know. This project is pretty limited compared to some of the others that we've seen. So
Yeah, this is definitely
I
not a 300-foot long dock.
I don't feel too not too partial to any sort of time frame myself. I what was it? Just back to the trees. Understanding that the applicant is willing to replace them. I would just note that we would appreciate 1-to-1, but our kind of typical application for trees in the buffer zone replacement is 2-to-1. So if they would be willing to at least replace the 2-to-1, that would align well with what we ask. That is an option.
I don't think that would be a problem for the applicant, a 2-to-1. So a total of 8 trees, if that could be conditioned, locations to be determined with the conservation agent in the field, we can come up with appropriate locations for those plantings.
Okay, thank you. Charlotte, did you have some draft conditions?
Yes, give me like 20 seconds to type up the tree one, but I guess do we care about where the trees are going? Like, could they go in the 50? Could they go just in the 100? I don't know about coastal bank. I mean, that's a pretty large coastal bank, but you're obviously gonna have limited soils out there unless you plant a smaller tree specimen. So does the commission have a preference on 100, just 100, or the entire buffer zone, 100 and 50?
I think if we could target where if they're from the 50, as at least 3 of
Okay.
the 4 were, I think that would. Am I
Okay.
correct in saying that, or are they all in the 50?
3 of them were in the 50, and the 4th one was
In
outside.
the 100?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll call it 7. I mean, if we can, that's our typical approach. I'd like to just be consistent as if we could. So if they could work with you to find suitable locations for the 3 that were in the 50, that would be my preference, unless other commissioners feel differently.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Sorry. You guys are hearing me type. I apologize. Okay. Just fixing a typo and then I can share my screen. Oh, I'm sorry. Did the commission want to see information about the cedar posts versus the pressure treated, or do you guys want to see that before you close? Do you want it as a condition? Do you not want it?
Since I'm the one that brought it up,
Yeah.
we've never done it in the past before. I don't think it's any reason to hold these guys up, but I think
Okay.
it's something to consider in the future because there are alternatives to pressure treated wood that
Okay.
can last. It may not be cedar, maybe something else, but just something we
Okay.
need to think about, I think.
Sure. Okay. So you want to do more research on that on our end, Will, and not
Yeah.
as a condition?
Yeah, we've never done it before. Why start with this project in specific?
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
We'll
So with
source
that
it
being,
from the Amazon rainforest.
please
What's
don't.
that?
Mahogany or something might last longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Some hardwood out there would.
So yeah, just type this up so I can read through it really quickly. 7 native trees shall be planted, 6 within the 50-foot buffer zone and 1 within the 100-foot buffer in areas suitable to the conservation agent. All tree species shall come from the commission's approved planting list and shall be installed by hand. Did we agree on 7?
Yes.
Or I think we said 2 to 1. So yeah, that's 7 total.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless they want to do 8. I mean, more
I mean,
trees the
yeah.
better.
Anything more than 7 will be a very positive deviation. So this is like, I can say shall, but before I read the rest of this, yeah, I mean, Greg, I don't want to implicate the contractor at all, so I'm tempted to just say should. I know he's had some questions with DEP in the past about this, but since Division of Marine Fisheries is recommending it, I guess I could say shall, but he does it anyway, so, you know.
Just say shall.
Okay.
Shall is fine.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I know he does it, and I personally, I know we've
Shouldn't
talked
be a
about this
problem.
before, but it's much less of an impact in the marsh, at least for the short term, because otherwise you have 1 million footprints in the marsh, and that could be more damaging to the grass. Okay, so during construction, the following shall be performed: the contractor shall lay down plywood as necessary in the marsh to minimize foot traffic impact on the marsh while driving the piles. All plywood shall be removed by the end of the day. Once piles are in place, staging shall be set between the piles, so walking on the marsh is not necessary for the remaining construction of the pier. All work shall be done on the constructed portions of the dock to the maximum extent possible to minimize foot traffic in the marsh. All staging and storage of construction equipment and materials shall be located in an upland location on the site out of all wetland resource areas and shall not be stored in the marsh. All equipment fueling shall be done either off-site or in an upland location outside of the buffer zones and not in the marsh or any wetland resource areas. Any disturbed resource areas as a result of construction shall be restored as needed to pre-existing conditions as determined by the conservation agent. After project completion, the following shall be completed and shall be ongoing conditions for the property with and after the issuance of a certificate of compliance. Should the float remain on site during the off-season, the float shall not be stored on or touch the marsh at any time. Upon removal of the gangway and the float for the off-season, the components shall not be dragged across the wetlands marsh and shall be stored in an upland location if kept on site during the off-season. And then the following inspections are required at pre-construction, pile driving, and final, and then any additional inspections as necessary.
Very good. Thank you.
In
Anyone
case that
care-
wasn't clear, hands off the marsh. Sorry, I know the wording's repetitive.
Well, very good. Everyone okay with those, commissioners?
Yes.
Yeah.
Greg? Okay. Then I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and issue an order of conditions for notice of intent 26-01 at 54 to 60 Beach Street with our standard special conditions and the conditions previously shown on the screen and read into the record by the conservation agent.
Second.
Do I have thank you. A motion in a second. I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre. Aye, that vote passes 4-0. And I will also make a motion to issue a variance for NOI 26-01 at 54-60 Beach Street for the proposed work as shown within the wetland resource areas in the 50-foot buffer zone.
Second.
Thank you. Take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre. Aye. That vote passes 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Greg.
You
Have a good
too.
night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good.
Okay. Next we have stormwater permit 26-03 for 76 Lambert's Lane, which I will read into the record and continue. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote hearing via Zoom webinar ID 822-0344-2720, passcode 407568 on Thursday, February 26, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. for stormwater permit 26-03 to build a guest house at 76 Lambert's Lane for Michael Marchetti. The public is invited to offer input by attending the meeting or emailing cpec@cohassetmass.gov.
And Mr. Chair, sorry, before you continue it, I do have the applicant on the call. Hey, Mike, just want to confirm we're still continuing to March 5th. Your engineer was working on some revised documents.
Okay, yep,
Yep. Okay. So the next meeting will be March 5th, which is next Thursday.
okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. See you next Thursday.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Good night. So, yeah, that's continued to March 5th.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have NOI 26-02 for 88 Doan Street to pave an existing gravel driveway within the 200-foot riverfront area and bordering land subject to coastal flooding for Norman. And this is new, so I'll read it into the record. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Cohasset Wetlands Bylaw and the Cohasset Stormwater Bylaw, the Cohasset Conservation Commission will hold a remote public hearing via Zoom, webinar ID 822-0344-2720, passcode 407568 on Thursday, February 26, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. for notice of intent 26-02 and stormwater permit 26-02 to pave an existing gravel driveway within the 200-foot riverfront area and bordering land subject to flooding at 88 Doan Street for Adam Norman. The public is invited to offer input by attending the meeting or emailing cpec@cohassetmass.gov.
Hey, Adam. Hey, Rob.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. Is this everybody?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I'll do my spiel here. So my name is Rob Carlazon from Grady Consulting. This is the resurfacing plan for 88 Doan Street. We filed a notice of intent and a stormwater review application for the project. I don't know, Charlotte, could you add me as a panelist on, I think I'm signed in on 2 devices, so I can share screen.
Oh, yes, sorry, that's coming through right now.
Yep.
I did see you on here twice.
Thank you. Just give me 1 second here. Do you guys see a plan here, or do you see the other screen?
Resurfacing plan.
Oh, you see. Okay, good. Okay. Okay. So, this is the plan here. Basically the existing lot, 78,000 square feet in area. We have several resource areas on the property. So, down here on the south, off the south side of the lot, is the Erin River. We have this noted in blue. The 100-foot riverfront area is shown in red along the mouse cursor here, and the 200-foot riverfront area shown on this red line along this cursor. We also have a wetland kind of wrapping around the rear of the property shown in blue. There is a 100-foot buffer to this wetland, and it's shown here in green, running like that. We also have a FEMA flood zone with no elevation associated with it. We have this shown in yellow, kind of meandering, kind of around the property, as such. So there's an existing dwelling on the property, and there's an existing compacted gravel driveway shown in here. Basically, what the applicant is looking to do is to convert the gravel driveway to a paved bituminous concrete driveway. We're not looking to increase the size of the driveway. It's just a resurface the existing gravel area, which is kind of shaded in this gray hatch through here. As far as stormwater patterns, obviously there's a gravel driveway in here now. Runoff comes off the driveway and goes over to the plan left here, into kind of a low area in the front yard. It's existing lawn area, but this area in here, you can kind of zoom in a bit on grades. The driveway grade is approximately 51 through 50, and the bottom of this kind of low area depression is about 45.8. So we have kind of a drop of about 4 feet from the driveway down into this almost a basin depression in here. So as part of the resurfacing project of the driveway, we've included a proposed pea gravel diaphragm, which is going to run along the left side of the driveway. It's a little bit small, but I'll zoom in kind of on this strip here, right through here. And here is a detail of it, a cross section. This will be the proposed paved driveway. And in here, you can see it's a 12-inch wide by 12-inch deep gravel diaphragm. And that is to improve water quality and to prevent sedimentation buildup from affecting the resource areas. We also have a proposed mitigation planting strip kind of along the left, or I guess it's the south property line, and that is hatched in green. We have 517 square foot area proposed. Sorry about that. We filed a variance request looking for relief. And 1 sec here. Looking for relief. Lost the section here. CWR Section 40, altering more than 1,000 square feet of riverfront area, and relief from the 2-to-1 mitigation area for altering more than 1,000 square feet of a resource area of the riverfront area. We feel that because of this proposed gravel diaphragm, that we will be improving water quality for runoff that will eventually make to the Erin River. And we also have this planting strip, which will also help improve that water quality and prevent sedimentation. So that's pretty much the summary there. And I don't know if the commission has any questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments off the bat?
Yeah. Is it bituminous concrete? Asphaltic paving, something like that?
Yes. Yep.
My only comment I'm generally okay with this. If it were some sort of concrete or non-bituminous pavers, something not asphalt, I guess. And the reason is the initial runoff, for the first few years after you pave something is dense in hydrocarbons. So I don't think that everything else you're doing, like you said, is better than the situation was before, except for that.
Yep. So the idea for this was to have a more permanent solution for a driveway, something that's going to be more durable. I think the applicant did discuss with Darren Grady in our office regarding a brick paver driveway that was looked into and considered, but I believe the cost of doing a brick paver driveway no longer made the project feasible. I think some of the initial estimates were going to be about 3 times the cost of an asphalt or bituminous concrete pavement surface. So that's why we were hoping to get approval for pavement on this.
What can you just back up as to what you mean by a more permanent solution? What's the kind of overall rationale for paving the gravel driveway?
I can jump in. This is
Okay.
Adam. Hi. So yeah, basically I've been living at the property for 13 years and I haven't done any alterations to the driveway. And over that time, the gravel has, through plowing, through rain, there's potholes. Every spring I have to throw stones back into the driveway. They get pushed around by the plow even when it raises the skids. And it's just been kind of frustrating every year. And this year obviously is going to be even worse than years past with all the snow and plowing that we've had. So just looking to have something that would stay in place and not have to go out there each spring and fix the driveway.
Mm-hmm. And besides bricks, were any other permeable alternatives investigated, like permeable pavement or
Yep.
non-bituminous options other than brick that might not be so
I
cost
did.
prohibitive?
I got estimates from various paving companies on permeable pavers, and like Rob mentioned, it was 3x the cost of a paving driveway or more, in some cases 4 times the cost.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just prohibitively expensive.
Um, and the current runoff is towards the river as it is, and that's not great. The mitigation it's disturbed, I guess, already, so it wouldn't necessarily trigger any a 2-to-1 ratio of mitigation, correct, Charlotte? Is that
I'm sorry, what was that?
the driveway being already a disturbed area? There's no like square footage ratio that we would necessarily be kicking in, right? Just because they're disturbed, or would there? Is this because it's
Yeah,
already
I mean,
disturbed, right?
at least in terms of the degraded area on the site, by the definition of degraded in the Wetlands Protection Act, they're not increasing it because Rob, I talked with Dylan about this, but DEP also clarified that in their opinion, a gravel driveway is degraded because of the absence of topsoil. So paving it won't increase the degraded area. It definitely increases impervious and could, result in, impacts there. But Chris, to answer your question, that's kind of tough. I think I don't think replication would be necessary in terms of they're not increasing degraded, so they don't have to restore or mitigate 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. But it's highly recommended. Obviously, we also have a stricter lens through our regulations that we don't allow more than 1,000 square foot alteration of riverfront without a variance. So with that being said, if the commission were to impose certain conditions to offset the impacts with the increase in impervious, that is something that could be discussed. Sorry, did that answer your question? So I think under the Wetlands Protection Act, I don't think so. And Rob, let me know if you disagree, but under our bylaws, we may have something else in mind with that stricter regulation lens.
Okay. And then obviously the driveway footprint is not changing, you're just going right over the existing. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. I don't know if I've seen one of these before, what we've done for driveways in the riverfront before. I can't recall Charlotte or anyone else, but I know recent hearings we've had a lot of back and forth about permeability.
Yeah,
and-
at least
and
with the
100.
projects I can recall in Riverfront, there's already an existing driveway that has been there. And so with rebuild projects, the goal is to move everything further away and try to increase that distance from the river. But this would be different in terms of, yes, you have an existing gravel driveway, but you don't have an existing asphalt one that they're just asking to repave. So it's just a slightly different setup here.
What's you said it was compacted gravel, and I'm curious on the stormwater front what the runoff kind of variation is. I know it can be pretty non-permeable over time. But what's the actual number?
Yep. So when we do our stormwater models, compacted gravel acts identical to like asphalt pavement. The runoff coefficients are the same. So if you can imagine compacted gravel, not much or if any water is getting through. So that's kind of that was our assessment of the site, existing versus proposed on that.
And what about portioning off like a section where the garage is? Some of our recent projects have had like they propose maintaining the permeable driveway for the length and then putting something more impervious by the wherever they want to. But I think the preference is generally by the garage. Is that considered, or has that been a consideration?
So the question of making part of the driveway or a portion of the driveway permeable, is that sort of the question?
Yeah, like maintaining the current like permeable state and just paving portion of it to for ease of maintenance or whatever.
I don't think that option was considered. I think the goal was again to pave the entirety of the driveway if possible. And I don't know, Adam, if you had any other discussions with Darren on that.
Yeah, I
or
mean,
idea.
the spot next to the house and next to the garage, that's probably least of my concerns in terms of the stones being displaced. It's really the length of the driveway and the portion closest to the road where the stones tend to get pushed away by the plow, and that's where all the potholes have been. So yeah, in an ideal world, I would pave the length of the driveway, but if that's not possible, I would consider other options.
Okay. Um,
For me,
Yes.
it's like for me, it's not the permeability because, like you said, it's almost the same with compacted gravel, and you're adding a gravel strip and plantings, and there's a natural detention pond there. So for this one, I'm less concerned about the change of permeability and more the material that's going in. But that's just me.
Thank you. Can we talk more about what the planting situation is and what you're putting in there with what the proposed plant will look like? Is that just gonna be shrubs or are you gonna have grasses?
So I believe we had a combination of deciduous trees and shrubs. I don't know all of the Latin names, but you can see them here on screen. Kind of zoomed in here. So kind of a mix of trees and shrubs.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what was the width? 5 feet? Was that 5 feet wide?
So it's total square footage 517. I think it's approximately 5 feet. I don't know if we have it dimensioned on the PDF here, but let's see. Yeah, I would estimate 5 feet wide or so. It's basically I think we were proposing, or our idea was to have a line of trees and shrubs running up the side property line here.
Okay. Thank you. Steve, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I don't. I guess my concerns are similar to Will's, but I don't know that there's another option other than pure concrete that would, that's probably just as expensive as pavers.
Okay. Kathy, questions or comments?
No, I don't.
I'm not sure whether it's relevant for this approval process tonight, but in the 13 years I've been living on the property, I've planted 44 trees and more than 24 shrubs, which has helped, for example, a large weeping willow tree that started out 9 feet high and now grown to close to 40 feet, right in that zone to capture some of that runoff.
Good. Charlotte, do you have any comments or questions?
So in terms of the required mitigation or restoration, at least under the riverfront redevelopment standards, since the degraded area is not necessarily increasing with this proposed work, I'm having a hard time saying, yes, you absolutely have to restore or mitigate 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, but it is an alteration, just to be clear. Like, it may not be an increase in degraded area as defined in the Wetlands Protection Act, but it definitely is an alteration in terms of, obviously, you're changing the existing condition to, pavement. So with that being said, there is the commission does have the, the purview to look at any necessary conditions to mitigate or prevent adverse impacts based on this work. So if you felt, you wanted to increase or move or specify any conditions like increasing mitigation plantings or moving them, or maybe increasing the size of the diaphragm, you guys can impose those conditions in order to ensure that there's no adverse impact to the resource area with paving the driveway. With that being said, sorry, that was just kind of the legal reference, but with that being said, I did, Adam, I'm not sure if Dylan talked to you about this, but we were chatting before the meeting about potentially either moving or increasing, or all the above, some of those mitigation planting areas. So taking out some of the lawn and putting in more native species, giving yourself more of that native buffer as close to the riverfront as you can get within your property lines. There's an area, if you scroll up in the rear yard, that's closer to the wetlands, that may be further away from the river, but that could still be an area worth considering up by those first couple wetland flags in that northern rear corner. I know you obviously have a lot of wetlands on the site and a limited backyard, so that's something that maybe we could talk about, but that could be one potential way to mitigate it. Or you could increase that strip and or increase the diaphragm. You could add a trench drain. I don't know what type of soils you are working with out here, but there could be additional infiltration considerations to impose if you were to approve the paved driveway. So sorry, lots of thoughts. It really depends on what the commission's overall opinion is and what conditions they would want to see if they were to approve this. But you would still need a variance, sorry. So in terms of a variance to alter more than 1,000 square feet of riverfront.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlotte. Yeah, I think that in general, despite the the runoff values are similar, there is a difference in permeability between packed gravel, first point, versus bituminous, which is pretty much straight up impervious, right? And secondly, it is more of a, I think it degrades the resource being made of tar and hydrocarbons and what have you. So I do want to consider that. And so and also just kind of the ration, it's hard having a long driveway, but there's options for maintaining. I know it's a long driveway. Like I said, I wouldn't want to have to shovel it, but it's not, I don't think it's having to do maintenance is not I just don't want to set a precedent, we're paving driveways all on the riverfront, and I don't know, I'm having a hard time kind of rationalizing this and myself. So if for me, if it could be bolstered with more plantings and the riverfront be enhanced that way, that to really show that the balance of improved plantings versus this alteration is equal, be easier for me to approve it personally. So that's more of a statement, I guess, not a question, but that's where I stand, I guess.
Is there a runoff management solution? I'm no expert in it, but something that some sort of catch basin or something with some way of helping filter whatever is running off before it gets there. That's probably a question for your engineer, I think.
Yep.
I think there's a low point probably in the middle of the driveway, it looks like from the grade. So could you catch things there before they get discharged into that natural detention basin.
Yep. So I think what you're asking, so the basically the driveway, almost all points of the driveway end up in this basin. If as far as runoff,
Yeah.
so that's why we have a ton of spot grades just to kind of show that the general flow of water from all points of the driveway do actually make it over towards the basin. So that it's captured here and before it gets to the river. So I would say this is kind of a unique situation where this isn't just runoff going straight into the river. It's running off into a natural detention basin here where sediments are being filtered before they get to the Aaron River. And that was our thought process putting this planting strip here, was to just as a additional buffer for to improve water quality. So
Well, what's the thought, or is the applicant open to, increasing the width of that strip, I guess, to kind of, guarantee that there's, to at least, improve that functionality of that strip to make it more of a appealing for at least for me
Yeah,
in terms of
sure.
improvement. So would you be willing to like double that,
Yeah,
Adam?
yeah, I'm open to, I mean, I love planting trees and shrubs and anything. I don't really make much use of the front lawn, so I'm open to additional plantings and additional mitigation, whatever it takes to make sure there's, as little impact as possible.
I like that.
Okay.
My only comment on it would be to get a little more creative with the shape. There's a ton of trees, it looks like, down front, so they'd probably survive. Like make it a lot wider towards the house, not as wide near the trees, so that they don't die from the shade, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think if you double the square footage along that side, and however it works with the lands, well, I don't know if you're gonna have to hire a landscape architect. I don't think so, but work with your landscaper to find appropriate locations. But if we could double the square footage, I think that would be more that would, like I said, be easier to accept for me.
I'm on board for that too.
Okay. Through one more time, Steve, you got any additional questions or comments or your thoughts?
No, I'm fine with what I've seen so far.
Okay. And Kathy?
I'm good. Thank you. Understand.
How about Charlotte, or sorry, Will, did you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
And Charlotte, do you have anything else to add here?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'll add one additional thing in terms of the stricter lens of our regulations. So Rob, Dylan, and I talked a little bit about this, but we, again, we don't permit the loss of alteration of 1,000 square feet of a resource area without a variance. With that being said, there's an additional section in our regs about restoration replication, which has a 2-to-1 requirement. So we understand, or at least I understand, sorry, I won't speak for the commission, but that may obviously not be feasible for this site. So with that in mind, I would read through that section 32 when you're revising the mitigation plan to try and see what you can do to maximize this as much as you can without, while being, understanding of site constraints and things like that. So I would just reference section 32 in our regulations about that, in addition to the riverfront stuff.
okay, yep,
Okay.
looked up.
And so, I'm sorry, Charlotte. Are we applying that ratio to this as because it's an alteration, or is that just
Yeah,
kind
so
of
it
what they
does
just-
in the performance standards. I won't read it word for word, but I'll just summarize it quickly that the commission at its discretion may permit alteration or destruction up to 1,000 square feet of resource area in quote, unless you're getting a variance. And that's all resource areas, not just BVW, for which no alteration or destruction is permitted, again, without a variance. And it says alterations to a resource area must be avoided or minimized to the maximum extent possible. A minimum 2-to-1 area replication will be required. So I can't
Yeah.
remember the projects exactly, but we have given variances on a case-by-case basis for those types of requirements under our local regs. So again, a variance for greater than 1,000 square foot alteration of riverfront, and possibly any variance request for the 2-to-1 requirement per our local regs, not per the Wetlands Protection Act. And I think Rob Dillon did revise his variance request to specify that. I'm sorry, I missed it the first time when I was talking about this 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
So yeah,
makes
I
just
think
yeah.
That makes sense if you're altering unaltered riverfront, I guess. But
Yeah,
this,
I mean, unfortunately, the way our language is written, it doesn't specify much further. So yeah, do it this as you will. Commission
Got it.
discretion and also applicant effort here. So I think you guys can come to a consensus on that. But yeah, the way it's written, it doesn't obviously specify for disturbed or undisturbed.
right. No, and I think thank you for that, Charlotte. And I think just this being what it is, the nature of this project is it's a driveway, switching it to impermeable bituminous with 1,000 whatever over 1,000 square foot of mitigation. To me, it's acceptable, and I would be
Yeah.
all right with it.
me too.
All right. Then with that, Charlotte, do you have any conditions you have drafted up?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we looking to close or are we asking for a continuance?
Yes. Well, do we want to see an updated plan? What are we thinking here, commissioners? I think I was gonna be all right with just doubling the width of that's the edge of the property that's closest to the riverfront, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to just say a condition is 1,000 square feet of mitigation planting over there. And close it. And they
Yeah.
can work with you on the location, the best location. If you're okay with that,
Mm.
Charlotte.
I am, but it depends if you guys want to see that before you approve it. Yeah, that's up to you.
So this is again just me. And on this site, I'd be okay with it literally anywhere as long as it's on the downhill side of the driveway. So
Okay.
that's why I wouldn't need to see it again. As long as it's on that side of the driveway somewhere, I think it will have the
Okay.
right effect.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's my thought too. As long as it's in between the driveway and the river, that's the intent would be to kind of enhance that side, and he can only work up to his property line. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm all right with them. Doubling that square footage and
Yeah.
be happy with that. I think. Is that, with that said, Charlotte, do we have, are we unprepared with conditions, or could we?
I'll admit I definitely was unprepared for this particular one because I wasn't sure how this project would be initially processed.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
So if that's okay, I can draft some conditions on that, and I can work with Adam on the back end to draft some conditions for the next meeting. Which actually, this is an awkward time of the year with the school break. Our next meeting is actually next Thursday, so March 5th, in a week.
So with that said, I think, yeah, if the applicant could update this plan to think about, like what Will mentioned about, this is just a very, it's not considerate of the existing vegetation. This just a strip, so if you would look at the landscape, propose something that's um, gonna work with, the current ecology there in terms of plant life and what have you, and if you could bring it back, I guess that would be best.
Mr.
What's your
Chair, if it
time?
was brought back for March 5th, would the commission be okay with looking at it less than a week in advance? Because, the week in advance is our normal submission
Right.
deadline for
No,
revised stuff.
yeah, I would be all right with that.
Yeah.
If they
Okay.
can turn it around that fast. I mean,
Okay.
with the snow, I don't know if that's even possible, but in any case, you have the existing plantings on this plan. You could just alter the plan and modify as needed
Yeah.
after in the spring or whenever you're gonna plant with the in conjunction with Charlotte's input. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable, Rob and Adam? Continue to next Thursday or?
Yep. So just to clarify, we're looking to continue the hearing. Is that correct? Or,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, if we could. And we actually have double back-to-backs this next 2 weeks. So next hearing is next Thursday.
Okay.
I
And
I
then,
can't attend next Thursday, but I'm okay with the suggestions you made to double that resource area.
Okay. Does that work? You be able to work with it, Rob, in terms of time frame?
I believe so. And if we have trouble, we will definitely alert Charlotte if we get into a jam. But I think we can turn that around before next Thursday.
Okay. With that being said, anything else that the commissioners want to see on the plan while we're here? In terms of stormwater management, in the riverfront or, not related to the plantings? I know you had some questions here and there about other things, so I just want to make sure that that's the only change
Well,
that Rob needs to
I
make.
mean, in terms of stormwater, the runoff isn't changing based on what the standard are. The standard is in terms of runoff numbers, right? So they don't have any requirement to make any adjustments for stormwater retention, right?
Yeah, maybe not for stormwater, at least if the runoff curve numbers are essentially the same. But just want to double check, Rob, do you need to pre-treat at all? Do you need to, like for standard 4, given the increase in asphalt? Don't you need to add more pre-treatment, or does the diaphragm count for that?
Believe the diaphragm counts for that.
Yeah, are you getting that 25% or more TMDL?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. That is something that I could verify with
Okay.
Dylan and Darren on that. So
Yeah, so if you had to make any changes to comply with that, but that is also just so the commission's aware there's an administrative stormwater permit that's been submitted for this. So that is the stormwater design in general is something I'm looking at on the stormwater bylaw end, but obviously for riverfront and notice of intent, you guys definitely have some impact for that in terms of anything that you guys would want to see to mitigate or prevent any adverse impacts to the resource area. But in terms of the stormwater design, I'm Rob, happy to talk to you and Dylan about that offline.
okay. Yep, that'd be great.
Okay, so it sounds like plantings and then maybe any potential stormwater clarifications.
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll continue to March 5th as well. Thank you. See you then.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll just continue then the enforcement order as well. Yes.
Yes.
And So enforcement order for 88 Doan Street is also continued to March 5th. And next up, we have enforcement order for 34 Flintlock Ridge Road, unauthorized fill and alterations in bordering vegetated wetlands and buffer zones. Anyone here tonight for this?
Yes. Looking, I believe this is the owner, but I will clarify once I promote them. Hey, Brad. Is Miss Roth or anybody else representing Miss Roth in the audience? Feel free to raise your hand. I can promote you. Lori, is that you? For 34 Flintlock?
It is.
Hello. Okay, so Lori and Olivia, so I wasn't sure.
Sorry.
Okay, I see Eric raising his hand, so I'll promote him.
Brad is on as well, I believe.
Yep. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Charlotte. Good evening, members of the commission.
Hi, Brad.
Hello. I
Hey,
think
Brad.
we have everybody. Brad, do you want me to get started, or do you want to pull up anything, or?
Well, I'll just brief it quickly.
Yeah.
I'm connecting with my phone. I don't have the plans
Yep,
handy
that's
to
okay. I
share.
can pull those up.
Okay. So 34 Flintlock Ridge Road, we prepared and submitted a restoration proposal to the commission in December of 2024. We worked through a couple of meetings at least, I think. And we had an approved restoration plan to restore the impacted bordering vegetative wetland and then restore the immediate buffer zone to where the yard existed in 2022. That included, a detailed restoration proposal. Yeah, thank you, Charlotte, for pulling that up. That hasn't been implemented yet. Lori and I have coordinated, but we haven't been able to get started. But now we have that plan for the spring of this spring. So we're wanted to bring that to the commission as an update. Lori's looking at potentially selling the property and we would like to get this restoration work done and make sure everything's in compliance with the commission. So we're here to kind of provide the commission with that update that we're planning this work this spring. We'll be working with Charlotte, of course, to coordinate the project and make sure we're in compliance with the restoration plan. So my intent was just kind of to give the commission an update of where we're at with this,
Yep.
that it hasn't occurred yet, that we're planning it this spring and that we'll be implementing it per the plan. I know that Charlotte has had some discussions as well. So with that, I'll leave it over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, so this, sharing my screen here, this is the approved restoration plan. Just to bring you back a little bit, we had Morrison, obviously Brad, work on existing conditions to know where that wetland line was before it was altered as best as we could, given the fill that was on the site. So pretty much immediately after issuing the initial enforcement order, the majority of the fill in the wetland was removed, but there is some fill in the center that would still need to be removed. I think we do have to move some of the boulders. Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, they might either be in or just on the wetland line. So the commission, when we issued the final enforcement order back in January 25, approving this plan, there were, as you can see in the 50-foot buffer here, there were other changes, landscaping changes that were made to the site without prior approval from the commission. But at the time, obviously, the wetland was the utmost priority. So this plan was solely to address the restoration and the restoration work and the replication work for the wetland. And then in yellow here is just a native planting strip. So wetland replication in green, buffer zone restoration, and then the orange conservation posts. This was the plan last January. So the commission had noted that we would obviously come back to the buffer zones. And that's kind of why we're here, to recalibrate the commission of where we are with working on this plan this spring. And then looking for commission input and any further action that may be necessary to restore or do anything in the 50 and 100-foot buffers. The changes that happened at the time was this used to be in the rear yard used to be lawn, as far as what I can see on near map. So the installation of a deck, it did get a building permit, but I just wasn't a sign off. I think, that might be more of an internal thing, but the installation of the pea stone, the patio, the sand area with the boulder wall, and some additional landscaping paths up here. Most of this, as you can see, was in the 50, which is a little bit more in the 100. And then everything else in the front wasn't touched, so that was all existing. So really the changes start from this like walkway here down to the wetland. So with that being said, I don't know if Lori has anything else to add, but that's kind of what I recommended at this point, just to see if the commission wants to require any further mitigation or restoration of the buffer zones while we are working to complete the wetland work in the spring.
Thank you. Do we have any near map that we could share to kind of get a sense of what the?
Yeah, I can go back to before the alteration so you guys can see what it used to look like. And Lori, I don't have them on me right now, but I think Roxanne, one of the people I was talking to about this project, I'm not sure if she's your realtor or if the potential buyer's realtor, but she showed me some pictures from like 2023, 2022 that shows that the rear yard is all lawn or was all lawn.
Yeah, she's not the realtor any longer. Those
Oh,
people.
okay. Sorry. There were a lot of people calling me about this, so sorry about that. So this I can pull up near map, just so you guys can see. This was pre-existing. I'll try to get to, so you can kind of see the yard here. Let me try to go back a little earlier. Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see it, but this is existing lawn, all the way down to this area here, which is the wetland. So you guys can see the, there may have been some garden beds here, but for the most part, it was mostly lawn. So this is what happened. You guys can see the sand and the deck being constructed and.
No, there was a deck there.
What was that? Sorry?
There was a deck there.
Oh, wasn't
it.
there a building permit that was submitted for like some changes to the deck? Weren't you making that like a roof area or something?
No, we just had to fix some of the rotted wood. And
okay.
So
you're replacing it?
Yeah. So but it was there before and it had the patio underneath it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they were replacing it in its entirety, but they weren't expanding it or increasing it?
No.
Okay. So yeah, the walkways down this side of the home, the sand, the pea stone gravel, and this alignment of boulders up against the back, and then the wetland fill, which was mostly removed within the first couple months or less of the enforcement order. So it's hard to see in the photos here, but most of the fill was removed except for a small portion. At the time, it was extremely wet in April 2024, and we didn't want to risk any machinery getting stuck in there because you had to use heavy equipment to get the fill out.
Okay. So I guess bottom line is the 50 was pretty much lawn already.
That's from what I can see. And Lori, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but at least based on the photos, it looks like it was lawn.
It was lawn.
Yeah.
I can add a little to that. The restoration plan that was approved, that yellow shaded area, we made sure that we restored the buffer out to what was previously the approximate lawn edge, which was kind of at the back of the existing shed. So, from that point out, within the area that was previously lawn was placed sand and some pea stone gravel, which, yes, it would have been a requirement from the commission to get approval. But it wasn't an expansion of the yard, and
Mhm.
maybe even at the end of the day, sand is probably a better substitute than lawn, which can be fertilized. So, in the gravel, but that would have to have been reviewed, obviously, but it was all previously maintained lawn.
Yeah. So yeah, as part of the approved restoration plan, we dealt with the 50-foot buffer up to behind the shed and covered patio, but we had kind of put a bookmark in it saying we'll come back to the rest of the buffer zone after the wetlands have been dealt with.
Okay. I think restoring it to its previous, state prior to this work is, it is even though it is buffer, it looks like it was lawn already. So I wouldn't impose any more. And is the shed still there and everything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Other commissioners have any questions or comments or thoughts on this?
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Steve?
I just had a question on the sheds that were there. It looks like the second one was actually added during the construction or just before.
Yes.
It's more of like an overhang
Yeah,
to the shed, I believe.
it's a little
So-
hard to see, but I believe the shed, Brad, you had delineated the site, I think, several years ago. The shed was pre-existing. It's hard to see, but
There was a single
There it
shed
is. Yeah,
up through 2023 to the beginning of 2023. And then in 2024, a second one appeared, or if that's a covered something, but it looks like a shed from.
mhm.
from the
It's like a
previous years.
gazebo, and it's not permanent.
It's like an overhang
It's a
roof
yeah, it's
and
temporary,
open underneath.
temporary metal
understand.
shelter thing that I can easily take out.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of hard to see in the aerials, but
Steve, would you want that to be removed if they sell or something, or what are your thoughts?
I don't really have one way or the other. That seems that it, again, if that was where lawn was before, which was what it was, and it's just a covered gazebo, I could leave it there. I'm not as concerned with the stuff that's in the 50 because it's all pervious. It's not any worse than lawn. So I'm not really concerned with most of the changes in the 50.
Okay.
That's interesting, Charlotte. I didn't know you could do that.
yep. Sometimes it's helpful than going through a million different time frames. You can look at two and then you can drag the bar.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, I don't want to say for every commissioner, but it sounds like Steve and maybe Will, you guys are okay with leaving the pervious, or was that Chris? Do you say leaving the sand and the gravel?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why is it there? Sorry, what was it just because of the fill? Is that just the fill that was taken out of the wetland?
No, this was a specific landscaping change. I'm not sure, Lori, if you have more information on that, but I think he was trying to create like a beach area or something.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a much better natural filter than lawn is, so.
yeah, I agree. And it's just probably gonna get vegetated at some point. So, yeah, I think just focusing on the wetlands restoration and leaving that undisturbed is fine by me. Kathy, did you have any thoughts or questions? Or-
I agree with what you just said.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
All
good.
right.
And Brad, can you remind me in your restoration plan, we need to, did you have specific instructions on the sand, or we are just prioritizing the area where we're replicating and restoring in terms of moving the material out to get those plantings in?
Correct. Within the green and yellow shaded areas, we have that
Yep.
covered for restoration. I
Yeah.
didn't propose anything beyond that.
Yeah, so we're taking everything that's out of there and putting in plantings. So anything that needs to get moved, up to behind where that shed and the awning are, we'll remove and replace with native plants.
Correct. We'll have to, anything that we remove, we're going to have to take off site. Because we
Yeah,
don't have any ability to reuse
Right.
it within the buffer.
right. And does that include the boulders?
Yes, within that yellow area, there's the line of
Within the
boulders
yellow.
that's right there. Yes.
Okay.
The other question I have is, what is the white structure that's right along the property line?
That's a trailer and it's gone.
Okay,
Okay.
it looked like a trailer
Yeah.
from the photos, but
It's a bar trailer.
I see. Okay.
I'm gonna hang out there in that
Yeah.
backyard.
Beach parties in Beechwood, huh?
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess if Lori and her team decided to keep this as is, we could keep the enforcement order as is and just stick with the plan. But if Lori and her team were to remove any of this and restore it to lawn, would the commission want to see that in a permit or allow for it as part of the enforcement order, amend the enforcement order? Or do you guys just want to keep everything and we don't touch it and just leave it as is?
I would just leave it undisturbed, or if anything, do more of a like extend the plantings that would be going in the wetlands to, further up. I think lawn, as Brad pointed out, and as some of the other commissioners have agreed, is not better than sand. But if
Okay.
anything, I would see more shrubbery, and but I wouldn't necessarily require that. I think we should just focus on getting this wetland restored and take it.
Okay. So you don't want to amend the enforcement order to allow for any additional restoration in the 50. You want to keep everything as is. And then if anything were to change, they would have to get a permit.
Yeah, we could amend it to allow it. I wouldn't amend it to require it. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. And that work would be obviously work that would be approved by Brad, so that it's
Yeah.
actually ecologically restoration work and not just landscaping that may not be
Yes.
beneficial.
Well, that's why he's on my team.
Yes.
You got a good person on your team.
I sure do. I have a lot of them.
That's good. You're lucky.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had, Mr. Chair. So I don't know if you want to make a motion to amend the enforcement order to
Okay.
potentially recommend or
Yeah.
allow any additional actions, or just stick with the plan as is.
Sure. Where's my script? All right, I'll make a motion to amend the enforcement order for 34 Flintlock Ridge Road to include authorizing additional plantings in the 50 with the approval of the wetlands scientist that's already involved. Brad, do
Second.
I have a second? Thank you. Then I'll take a motion, excuse me, I'll take a roll call vote. I'm getting tired. Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Bill Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre. Aye. That vote passes 4-0-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
welcome.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. And Lori, I'll get that amended order over to you, and then we'll touch base in the spring.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Welcome.
Thank
The best.
Have a good night. All right. And next, we have anyone for either of these certificates of compliance, or just go in order here?
Yes, I was going to say, Brad, I think you're still here for 3135 Elm. We may
Yes.
actually may be a little early. I don't see Jason in the audience. I can
I
try
can
to call
update
him.
them. And we could always continue it if there's something
Yeah,
especially where you're meeting next week.
yeah, that's true. And did that week, did that March 5th work for you, Brad?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to send Jason a quick email. Brad, I can table this at least to do the other COC first and see if he jumps on in the next 5 minutes. Would that be okay with you?
For sure.
But yeah, if you don't see him, then we can just continue.
Okay.
All right. So then we're
All
gonna
right.
go
So sorry, I just
to
sent him an email. I can switch to the other one. So 203 Atlantic Ave. For the people still in the audience, do I have anyone here for 203? I'm sorry, 203 South Main Street. I'm sorry for the COC. Don't see anyone raising their hand. Okay. So this is a 2012 notice of intent. This was another septic upgrade NOI where, of course, people forgot to close it. And it's the same MO in terms of they have an as-built from the Board of Health. Board of Health issued a certificate of compliance. And I have all those documents for you guys in OneDrive. Just so you guys are aware, for shared septics, I'm sorry, for septic plans, I'm sorry, there's a deed restriction that has to get implemented as well. So all that was done in terms of Board of Health. The only step that was missing was just to finish the order conditions. The order conditions did have to be retrospectively recorded, just that you guys are aware. We can't really move forward with a COC request unless an order is recorded. So in these old instances, obviously, since the work was already done, the order wasn't recorded before the work was done. I just had them retrospectively record it so we could get that information. And then in terms of the plans, we had approved, I can pull those up just so you guys can see them. Really, the only changes were just that the leaching field was rotated and pushed a little bit closer to the 50-foot buffer, but it wasn't put in the 50-foot buffer. So our original project, it's a little hard to see from a scan, but that's the leaching field right there. The tanks are in the back. The tanks are where they should be per the approved plan based on the as-built. But this leaching field was just rotated a little bit closer, and I can pull up the as-built for reference, but it didn't go into the 50-foot buffer. So that was really the only change. And that was the only, proposed work with this project. So I have no concerns from a compliance perspective. So I'm sorry, this is the as-built leaching field. You can see it barely comes up to the 50 here. So the ongoing condition I would recommend is just our standard one. Just the number is different. Number 35 for no chemicals in the buffer zones or resource areas. And yeah, with septic, they have obviously 10 to 5 inspections. So I defer to Board of Health for all that good stuff. Anyone have questions there?
No, I don't. Anyone
No.
else?
There might be a slight encroachment of the 50. I'm not sure what this line is. It says poly barrier. So sorry, I lied. Just a couple feet into the 50 than what was proposed, but it's still 50.9. At least the actual system, not counting the poly barrier, is 50.9 feet from the wetland. So, and the proposed
Well, I have to
was,
go and say that.
what's up? Sorry. Just
You
trying to
have
be
change your
transparent.
mind.
I know, I'm
No, okay.
sorry.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna have them dig up the leaching field, so
Yeah.
Anyone care to make a motion here? Sorry, I'll discombobulate to get too many screens going.
The ongoing condition would be 35 for that no herbicides one.
All right.
So I can make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for NOI 12-21 to agree South Main Street with, what did you say, 35? Ongoing
Yep.
condition 35.
I'll second that. With a motion in a second, I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve Magnell, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0. So that COC is closed. Are we switching back to the other one?
Yeah, Brad, I don't see him. So we could just push it to 3-5. I think he said he was available that date, but we can confirm with him offline.
I
I
don't
think he
mind
wanted to.
presenting and
Oh,
then,
sorry, was that?
and then I don't mind presenting and
Oh, okay. You want to
getting
see if
a
he jumps
flavor.
on? Okay,
Sure. And then if it all goes well, I'll just update it by email.
sure.
But I know that the commission discussed, we have a partial certificate of compliance, I believe. We're seeking a full certificate of compliance, but in order to do that, we need to carry out the mitigation plan and some vegetation management. We proposed treatment of Japanese knotweed using herbicide. I know the commission had a discussion on that and isn't favorable to using herbicide. So what we proposed as a modification to the management plan is just ongoing cutting with a cutting plan of the Japanese knotweed. I don't think we're going to be able to eradicate the knotweed, but I think we can manage it. And if we can manage it, it will allow, where that buffer zone between the lawn and the wetland isn't fully dominated with Japanese knotweed. If we manage it, I think we can still accomplish the mitigation plantings in that area. And he's just going to have to be diligent to, ongoing cutting. And maybe after a period of, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 years, maybe he can exhaust the plant and get areas where it doesn't regrow. But I think that this would be a plan that we could implement and carry out the mitigation work and manage the Phragmites with the hope to eradicate it eventually if he stays on the cutting. But I didn't want to present this to the commission, say that this was an alternative to eradicating the Japanese knotweed and then, come back in 2 to 3 years for certificate of compliance and, and there's still knotweed growing, or still knotweed at the site, not necessarily expanding, but present. And then it'd be a case where the commission wouldn't be favorable to issuing a certificate of compliance. I think, again, it can be managed and it could be the buffer, it could be managed so that it doesn't expand and overtake the area. But I just didn't want to have an expectation of eradicating it. So the revised management plan has some kind of timing. Obviously, the first cutting event is going to be the most laborsome, and collect the stalks and disposal. I did put in there the potential to burn, on site, but if the commission isn't acceptable to burning, like brush burning during the burning season, that's fine. It can be taken to a landfill for disposal. It can't be taken to a landscape yard for processing. It has to go to a landfill or a burning or to like the CMAS burning plant. But after that first cutting event, it isn't going to be that laborsome because you're just cutting the new regrowth, and then you're doing it at the time of year that I've specified in the report, and just kind of keep managing that through the growing seasons. And then I think he can work on the plantings within the areas that aren't we don't have Japanese knotweed in the buffer. So
Thank you.
with that, I'll turn it back to you.
One question, did the planting plan based on this approach change at all? I know one thing that we had discussed is maybe increasing, if possible, the canopy type plants that would, potentially help to mitigate the regrowth via shading. Is that, were there any alterations to what will be planted for mitigation?
I didn't look at the number of plantings and the species as far as changing what was on the plan already, the approved plan, but that could be something we could look at.
Is that something that, in your opinion, may may be helpful to the mitigating the knotweed planting, trying to get more trees in for shading
Try
and
to shade out the undergrowing knotweed.
yes. Yeah.
Sure. It may help. Knotweed is you know, it's a tough plant, but maybe with the ongoing cutting and obviously reducing the amount of sunlight underneath is going to help stress the plant with the ongoing cutting. So it can't, I would say it can't hurt, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we're just continuing, right? Does anyone have any questions or
I was gonna say,
comments on
Brad,
this?
he just emailed me. He's just about to land. He's in a flight
Okay.
right now, so probably not. Oh, actually, I think I see him. Hold on one sec. Oh, there he is. Hey, Jason. Welcome back.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I literally just landed and dialed in, so uh is there a question? Is there something I can respond to or
Brad just
I could jump
gave
in.
us the update, and we were just about to pass it around the commission to see if there's any comments or questions on the approach that Brad has proposed.
thank you.
Commissioners, Steve, any questions or comments or thoughts on the update?
That's okay.
I think Steve's good. Kathy,
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Will,
No, no questions on the approach, just the administrative part. Would we approve a COC with an ongoing condition of this knotweed management? Is that basically what it would be?
Yeah, no. So I think in terms of the administrative, since this is a little bit of, uncharted waters for us. So in order to complete the required mitigation plantings, the commission could vote to administratively approve this vegetation management plan as part of the original order of conditions to finish the required mitigation work. And then we come back for a full COC when obviously all those plantings are established and the knotweed is at least maintained, not eradicated. So yeah, I can pull the plan back up, but did you guys have any thoughts on that based on Brad's presentation? I had a couple comments, but I'll defer to the commission on them, but I just didn't know if you guys had any specific things that you would want to see changed or modified here if you were to administratively approve it.
As discussed, I don't know if the applicant has any comments on this, but if adding trees to help this process that modification may be beneficial, and I know we discussed it last time. I don't recall where we landed on that, but I don't have any other questions,
Okay.
comments. What did you have to add, Charlotte?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be brief. I'm just going to pull up the email just to make it easier. So in terms of working, again, I'd be happy to do this in the field, but locating the exact areas where to mow and cut within Riverfront, just staking them out in some capacity doesn't need to be formal, but just so that making sure we're all on the same page before we start, cutting the knotweed. And then, Brad, I didn't know if you had thoughts about this before the meeting, but in terms of a plan to identify the areas if the knotweed has spread. So I don't know what time of year would be best to check for that and seeing if we need to modify where we originally had, where we're going to be doing the cutting. So maybe just checking once a year with our regular visits, I guess, maybe in the spring, summer, where you can see the growth come in. And then I just wanted to clarify what kind of, the equipment would be used. I'm sorry if I missed that in the plan. We obviously don't want anything staged in Riverfront or 50-foot long-term, but obviously to work in there, we just want to know what equipment's being used. I wouldn't want to see burning in the 50-foot buffer, or obviously near any other native vegetated areas in the back of that property. But obviously I'll defer to fire department if they allow burning in like an open space setting that they approve on the site. And then in terms of reporting, our standard reporting schedule is, usually Brad would send something, or Brad or a wetland scientist or whomever would send some sort of monitoring report at the end of each year. So usually we have a December 15th or 31st deadline for that, to get those written reports for those 3 years for the annual, cutting, mowing. And same thing with mitigation plantings. I mean, obviously we could include all that in the same memo about cutting the knotweed, where we cut it, if any areas spread, status of the plantings, how those are doing, and then just getting those for 3 years before coming back for a COC. So I'm sorry, that is a lot, but I can definitely, document this somehow. But those are just some of the conditions I would want to see if you guys were to administratively approve it.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, I think those are all doable. We can
Yeah.
address those, and the monitoring reports are anticipated. And I'm sure we probably have a pre-work, first event. We can discuss it further. And as far as the equipment, it would all be hand tools or like a brush blade, weed whacker. It wouldn't be any live equipment, and we wouldn't be looking to mow, which we're with a brush mower or a brush hog that would spread the material. It really be cut and then removed.
Okay, so this would be like hand tools, like a blade thing, like our weed whacker kind of device, not like an actual like tractor or hand mower or anything or like that, like anything heavy in terms of heavy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
More of like a weed whacker with a brush blade on it. They
Brush
can
blade,
cut it at the base, then they can be collected and removed.
Okay. Well, that makes it a lot easier then, because then you don't have to worry about vehicle tracks and leakage and things like that.
Right. And where it's not a full stand of it and it's kind of interspersed amongst other vegetation, it can be done manually and with care.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with this. So I guess back to the administrative question, what are we what are we doing?
I was gonna say, I
Are we
mean, this
administrative just continuance or altering the plan?
yeah,
Just
so
to
I mean,
allow
this
for
is a little uncharted here in terms of we've never seen this before. So I guess this is obviously not by setting a precedent in any way. This is obviously to complete the order of conditions that was already approved and issued by you guys. So you could make a vote to administratively approve the proposed vegetation, sorry, what's it called? Vegetation management memo. Sorry. You could make an administrative vote to approve the vegetation management proposal, dated February 11th, proposing, the cutting of knotweed, as part of the requirements in the order of conditions and the approved plan to install the mitigation planting. So like, you're not reapproving the project, you're just adding this additional memo to administratively include with the order to finish the required plantings. That's the only way I could see it. Brad, I'm not sure if you've ever dealt with this before, but this would be in lieu of coming back to the commission with an amended notice of intent. With that being said, we did have a condition to obviously work by hand in the 50-foot buffer, but it sounds like that we are somewhat still obviously complying with that condition and with that variance, because it's going to be hand tools. It's not going to be heavy equipment, machinery, things like that, that would create an additional impact that we didn't foresee with the original permit. So yeah, if you guys are comfortable, sorry, you could make a vote to administratively approve this vegetation management proposal dated February 12th, 2026, as part of the order of conditions to complete the required mitigation planting work as shown on the approved plans. And then if you guys wanted any additional conditions for that, like everything I just showed in my email, I could put that in an administrative approval letter just so we can document it. so that people know for 3 years that this is something that we had looked at. But yeah, like I said, this is a little unprecedented. This, I mean, this is kind of commission discretion, I guess, here, you know?
Yep. Okay.
I
But we
just-
don't want to, we wouldn't call it an amended order of conditions, or would
No,
we
because
just
the
got-
applicant would have to apply, and that would also have to go back to DEP. So
All
this
right.
is why it would be more on the administrative end, but that's only if you guys feel that this is comfortable. This could be seen as a glorified minor change to the site plans, you know? Obviously a little bit more extreme than the other, you know, other minor changes we've seen, but it wouldn't be a
I
formal.
think given the nature that this is like an invasive species that they're
Yeah.
trying to achieve the order of conditions in the plantings,
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with it.
okay.
Anyone disagree, or Steve, was that you that had a comment?
I assume that, I mean, I think that we can essentially accept this as a explanation of how they're going to undertake the mitigation.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
but this is not an approval of the certificate of completion.
Right.
No.
Correct. Okay. So then I'll make a motion to administratively approve the vegetation management activities proposed in the memo as shown, dated February 11th, 2026 from Brad Holmes, with the proposed activities, including the conditions for which Charlotte will administratively add, which she showed previously on her email.
Second.
Thank you. With the motion in a second, I'll take a roll call vote. Steve Magnell,
Steve McNeil, aye.
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Will Ashton,
Will Ashton, aye.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. That vote passes 4-0.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Brad.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you,
Thank you,
Brad.
Jason.
I'll send you
Appreciate
guys
it.
an administrative letter in some form to connect it to the order conditions. Then we'll touch base, I guess, in the spring. Sounds like, do you want to start this work this year now?
Yes.
Yes.
Once the snow melts? Okay. All right. We'll touch base in the spring.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome. Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night. Thank you.
All right. Good. Anything else? No agent updates on the agenda today? Anyone have any
Just,
48-hour? Oh,
Couple
go ahead.
48-hour updates, but I'll let you guys go first. No.
I don't have any.
Okay. Oh, and with that being said, with the invasive stuff, I think I mentioned to you guys before, depending on what the state does, you guys may know there's some bills and proposals in place to streamline wetlands restoration projects. So there very well could be a different process under the Wetlands Protection Act. We just don't have a timeline for that. We don't know what's going to go through and when with the state. So if it makes you guys feel any better, this is kind of like, we don't have, clear guidance from Wetlands Protection Act with this kind of weird stuff for mitigation plantings. So maybe there'll be better clarity in the future. The 2 48-hour updates, I just wanted to communicate to you guys. I mentioned one of these, but I wanted to bring up another one. Did I already mention you guys that I put in a town warrant submission for the stormwater bylaw, and I will be sending that to you guys probably tomorrow or Monday at the latest. So this, to make a long story short, was you guys know, you're nodding your head. Okay. But the other one is related to our commission in terms of how we are set up as a commission. So I will send this information to you guys with the warrant article change, that the second one that I'm going to propose. I had already talked about this with John and with town council and with Michelle Leary, who's the interim town manager. As you guys know, our commission is made up of 7 members. The state law actually says we can be no less than 3 and no more than 7. Our Cohasset bylaws are stricter, and our Cohasset bylaws say that the commission shall consist of 7 members. So obviously with commission transitions, I know we've had some pretty close calls like we kind of did tonight. Will, Sanjay, I was calling and texting both of you to get a quorum. Obviously, if there's commission transitions this upcoming spring, summer, and we can't always replace ourselves, a quorum is definitely a valid and legitimate concern. Like if we don't have a quorum, we can't run our frequent meetings. So I am going to speak to town council a little bit more on this, but town council initially suggested changing the Cohasset bylaws from 7 to 5. That would be a quorum of 3, which Will, I see you nodding your head, but I think I think that seems like a more feasible number, to work with. He didn't necessarily recommend 3 members, but he said 5 is a healthier, more realistic number given our, transitions, and 7, a quorum of 4 is a lot for this board sometimes when we go through, those June, July changes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
so
small
I'll
town,
put that
too.
together and, oh, sorry, what was that?
It's a small town too, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
we're small. I know it's a lot, and you guys do so much, and obviously I don't expect you guys to stay on this board forever and ever. Like someone's eventually going to have to replace all of you, and you can't always find 7 enthusiastic individuals. With that being said, as you guys know, I'm all ears in terms of how to recruit people, so let me know. But I did tell Michelle, I said we have no applicants, we have no associate members that we could easily turn into full members in a stretch. We don't have those right now. So yeah, it's a real problem. And I think changing our local bylaws is, an easy fix, at least temporary, at least for the short term, possibly long term. But yeah,
Well,
so
do,
those are oh, sorry.
Sneak some other stuff in there too,
What was that?
Sneak some other stuff in there too while you're doing that to
I don't like
help us.
doing that. I'm not a true politician to my knowledge. I don't like doing that. And I have to present it. So if you guys come to town meeting, I will absolutely be there showing it in tract form to show I'm not hiding anything. I'm not putting in an additional paycheck to myself or anything like that. So, okay. Well, thank you guys. We have to vote on it. I don't know about the town bylaw one, so I'll double check with town council on that, but you guys will need to vote on the stormwater changes. Town council got those back to me earlier this week. So I will put that either probably on the March 5th agenda since it's kind of light. So I'll probably put that on for March 5th or March 19th at the very latest. And then you guys will just vote on that. And then it goes through the process with select board and then going on the warrant. I will be at the town meeting, so you guys do not have to be there unless you want to. Obviously you guys are residents, not me. I have to present, but I don't vote. So yeah, but the town bylaw one, I don't know if you guys have to formally vote on that one or if that's just a select board vote. So either way, we'll keep you posted. That was it.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good move for sure.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. This was the other 48-hour issue. I'm sorry. There was one more happened today. So moving forward, town council, as you guys know, they're lawyers, right? They charge a lot of money. So we're gonna, at least me, I was advised that moving forward, we need a solution for how our department conservation can pay for town council. We have never paid for town council's fees. Whether or not that's right or wrong, I don't know. Will, I see you shaking your head. I have no idea.
Right.
So as you guys know, lawyers charge a lot for their time, and we've had a lot of complex, controversial projects that I can easily defend why I called or roped in town council every time. So we're saving the town potential lawsuits. So it's a necessary expense, but the question is, how can the town pay for this on a wide spectrum, but then specifically for conservation? So I will need to look into this more, but just want to let you guys know that I was kind of lightly advised to not call town council as much. I don't call them a
Here's an
lot, for
idea.
the record, by
I
the
got
way.
it.
I solve 9 out of 10 problems on my own.
If they bring a lawyer, then they have to pay for our lawyer too.
Yeah, that would be nice. And I can look into it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how other towns set themselves up in this regard. Like, I'm not familiar with applicants paying for town council. The only thing that I'm aware of is some other towns will have a professional consulting retaining fee. So like if you guys wanted to bring on a wetland scientist or an engineer to review certain projects, planning board, as you guys know, do that. They do, you know what I mean? So like there's plenty of towns do that. They have an
yeah, I mean, they have
applicant
to
pay a
approve
retaining
it.
fee. Yeah.
They have to, if
Oh, I'm sorry.
usually
What was that?
they would have to approve it. Usually it would be like for a condition of our approval, we would want a third party
Yeah.
review, and we would, that's something that they would pay for in
Okay.
hopes that they would get approval. I don't know how to work it in for the town council. That's
Yeah, I'm not sure. So I just wanted to make you guys aware that obviously with any legal situation, I'm not going to stop contacting town council. You know, we have to protect the commission, our integrity, and protect the town. But at the same point, obviously, again, it's not like I call them every single day on speed dial. Like
Yeah.
I resolve and research most things on my own. Like, but as you guys have seen, these projects are getting very complex, very complicated. The applicant has an attorney and several professionals. I
Yeah.
do my best, but I'm an agent. You know, I'm not a lawyer, so we don't have town council call into all of our meetings. That would be insane. And I totally would get that if we got our wrist slapped for that. But so
I have two questions on it.
sure.
You were advised that conservation should pay for the town council. What does that mean out of our fees that we get? I don't even understand what that means.
Yeah, so they were like, so basically the conservation department, with the money that we bring in, we've never been responsible for paying for our conservation, contact through KP law. So they were saying that somehow our department has to cover that in terms of either the fees we bring in, increase the fees, or do something through it. And I'm like, but that's a little awkward because like we're collecting fees to pay for the time that it takes for me, my admin, our board, everything that the town needs to do to process this work. So it's not like we don't bring in money, we're not like pocketing this, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I think, Will, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. It seems like Michelle kind of implied that we have to be able to pay for those costs ourselves, and I don't know
There's
how.
not even there's not even a mechanism for that though. The
I don't know.
legal
I don't know.
counsel of the town comes out of one singular budget that they
That's
put in.
what I was aware of. Yeah, that's what I was told.
My second question was, did anybody give you any, like, did they know how much is attributed to, like, how many hours or dollars were from conservation versus other departments?
The only thing I recently have is an invoice just for recent time. And to be fair, this was a bigger invoice than normal because it was a lot of complex projects in the last couple months. And we're going through a MIPA review for 82 Border Street, just to give you one example that requires a lot of complex legal analysis. Because to make a very long story short, this MIPA review may or may not result in a new permit needing to be submitted. So that's why I called town council about it. And, so, I mean, there's invoices that KP Law sends. I have never seen them up until today. So I've never seen those invoices. Conservation's never been asked to pay them. And I'm not aware of other departments, but one was just sent to me and a few other people today. And those invoices showed like, certain projects, like meeting with the agent, phone call with the agent, attendance at town at conservation meeting, and it shows the hours. But like I said, well, I've never been responsible or told that I was responsible for paying those invoices from town council. I was under the same assumption as you, as it all comes from one account from the town for legal assistance.
Yeah,
that's a good example of one where you actually probably could try to get the applicant to pay for some of that because their application was missing. And, full analysis.
Yeah, like 82
and
Border Street for sure. I'm not trying to call them out, but if there is a concern with that where they weren't correctly showing how the project was going to be impacting resource areas and they have to file a whole new notice of intent, maybe they do pay for our legal fees there.
I mean, you could put it under the lens that we're both the commission and the applicant is being scrutinized by the state, and so they should.
Right. Same thing with appeals. Like, we need town council to represent us in court. you know? So if there's a permit appeal, town council's the one who goes to court. You know, they're the lawyer. So for example, 35 Nichols Road, that was the pool project. Town council had to go to court. I had to prepare all the documents and I worked with town council, but that was hours of work, obviously. So I never saw the bills for those. So yeah, I don't know.
So other departments don't have to pay for their legal consults. The town has a fund for legal
I
bills
can't
for
be
other
100%
departments,
sure.
and they haven't been asked to. This is just our
I
department.
know,
It's
I'm
recently.
not sure, Kathy. I'm sorry. I mean,
That's okay.
I
You don't
was
have to be
always
sorry.
under,
I'm just
I was under the impression that it came from a very specific town level account, not a
Yeah.
specific department account.
yeah.
Some boards could be an exception. I don't know if like select board, for example, because they have town council on their calls a lot. So I don't know if they are an exception,
Or it
but
could be more. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess I'll keep you guys posted. I mean, maybe at some point, maybe Chris or one of us could talk to Michelle about what we need to do as a solution. But yeah, this is news to me. I'm kind of a little
How is
caught off
town
guard here.
council represented in the budget?
What was that?
How is town council currently represented in the budget?
We don't even have a budget for conservation, but I can't
No, I mean,
speak for the town.
in the town's overall budget, it must be a line item somewhere.
I would
Yeah, they
assume so.
are. They
Yeah,
are. It's
I would assume
it's
so.
usually there's just one line item for like $200,000 to $300,000 a year for town council.
Yeah. Oh, really? There's a line item in the budget for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Is that in our annual report? Will? I apologize. I'm very unfamiliar with this, and I will continue to be more informed about the finances moving on.
No, that's not your job. But I don't know if it's in the one that goes in the warrant or the more detailed one. I don't remember.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that's something that we are going to, I guess, have to deal with as a town and maybe down to departments. I don't know. So I don't have a solution here, but I did want to point out that.
Yeah. I can't imagine them singling out conservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're going to change the budgeting process to include
Yeah.
a town, a lawyer's fee line item in every department's budget or every commission's budget, that's going to be rather interesting.
An alternative is send me to law school. Make me the lawyer. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I don't know. I'll let you guys know. At least personally, I'm going to try not to call, obviously, Alex as often as I would. But like I said, often isn't really a word I would use lightly. I mean, I've been calling Alex recently only because of the recent projects that have been really complicated. But it's not like I call him every single day. It really comes in waves. So sometimes, yeah, I'm calling him more frequently. Other times I don't talk to him for like a month, or longer. So I'll try to be more cognizant of that just so that I don't accidentally put conservation in the crosshairs. But like I said, why would I create more work for myself? If I'm asking a question, it's because I don't know and I tried to find it and I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, with appeals, there's nothing we can do. I have to involve town council if there's an appeal. So I'm not going to stop doing that. Anyway, oh, sorry, Chris, I interrupted you.
Just gotta really refine the questions to like one phrase, like and then
Alex, wave yes or no. Okay, goodbye. Get off the call.
yeah.
Well, with that being said, I was already looking into training opportunities with town council, so I guess I'm not going to do that.
They were mad that our meetings were going too long. Now it's this. And then didn't they want to retrain us first? And then the meetings were too long. Now we're charging. Now we're
Yep.
There's Melinda's billing. Now it's this. They just
everyone's a critic, huh? I don't know. Yeah, I feel bad. I did want to let you guys know that if for any reason you guys see that I'm obviously not involving town council and you may or may not hear answers from me at future meetings saying I have not conferred with town council at this time. Like now you know. Yeah, I'm sorry to put this on a recorded meeting, but I did feel like it was very relevant given all the projects that we are seeing going through that are controversial, complex, all the above. It's a problem. I mean, we in some way need legal assistance to function. We're a board. So I don't know.
I wonder how other towns handle it. Towns around here, similar size. I wonder.
Yeah, maybe I'll
Just
I'll-
curious.
I don't know. Maybe I'll email my South Shore agent group email and say, hey, what do you guys do? So yeah, sorry. Longer conversation than I wanted to, but just wanted to keep you guys informed. And like I said, if I say weird things during the meeting, if I have not conferred this with town council, now you know.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Anywho, great job tonight, guys. Lots of items on the agenda. 9 o'clock. That's a really good
Yeah.
for you guys. Thank you.
Yep.
And really good in general.
Yep.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Thank you.
It's from
I didn't
your
have
work.
site visits, so I apologize. I wasn't able to really look at anything for this meeting. 2 feet of snow on the
Let's
ground.
just
So
see. Could have showed us a blank piece of white paper and we would have said, okay.
sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I accidentally showed something that I didn't mean to, and I felt bad. I was like, oh shoot. But yeah,
Didn't
other
notice.
than that, it was this blizzard is weird. I'm not really able to go to site visits right now, other than the emergency one. I couldn't even locate the rupture because it's under 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
Good thing it wasn't a sewer line.
Right.
It's gonna be
Happy
melting
that.
in the next couple of days.
What was that?
It's gonna be melting tomorrow. I think it's gonna be up in the 40.
Great.
Oh,
mid
really?
40s tomorrow.
Okay. Cool.
So, all right. Well, anyone else have anything? Then I'll make a motion to adjourn. Anyone's a second?
Second.
No. I'll take a voice vote then. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All right.
Good night,
Good.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you,
Have a good night.
guys. See you
Night,
next
everyone.
week. Have a good weekend.
See you.
Bye.